We are on page 41. So we finished going right through the Megillah. We looked at the various topics. Let us look at the various mitzvot of Purim. Because although it's a rabbinic holiday, the Chachamim, Chazal, made mitzvot. These obviously are rabbinic mitzvot. Okay? They did not asur malacha, because Chachamim cannot actually do that, but they can make certain mitzvot. So let's begin with the mitzvah of Tanit Esther. Tanit Esther, because we know there are 6 fasts in the Jewish calendar, which you all know, right? Who's in my class last semester? Remember that like that? Do you remember? Aha, let's go.
Your little, like, black, white.
Right? Doesn't that help? That helps, right? It's black and white. Man, woman, long and short. Remember that? See, that technique helps, I tell you.
I did not remember.
Black and white.
What are you talking about?
The 6 fasts in the Jewish calendar. What was black? Tisha B'Av, right? Time of mourning. What was white? Yom Kippur. What was man? Som Gedalia, day after Rosh Hashanah. What was woman? Tanit Esther. What was long? Shabbat B'Tammuz. What was the short? Aser B'Tevet, because it's a shorter fast. It appears in December. In the winter time, so it's a much shorter fast. Those are the 6 fasts. I think it's good to know your 6 fasts. You don't know how many fasts are. Huh? I think it's good to know them for life, Ahava. Black, white.
Yeah, but like each one.
Oh, black is Tisha B'Av. White is Yom Kippur. Man is Som Gedalia. Woman is Tanit Esther. When I was like 6 years old, my Rebbe taught me this in yeshiva. It stayed in my head. All the nonsense goes out. You remember little techniques like this, you remember it. Long is Shabbat B'Tammuz, and Aser B'Tevet is the short one. So we're going to look at the female one, which is Tanit Esther, the fast of Esther. Right. Which is on the 13th of Adar. Let's have a look what Chachamim have to say. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Mitanim b'Yud Gimel Adar. We fast on the 13th day of Adar. Says the Mishnah Brura on page 41. Mitanim b'Yud Gimel. Key. I'll tell you why we have this fast. There's got to be a reason. You can't just like make fasts. Hard enough to get Jews not to eat for Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, let alone giving another reason not to eat. Oh, by the way, remember, there's 6 fast days in the Jewish calendar. There's 80 feasting days. So, you know what I'm saying? Put yourself into proportion. 80. 8-0. Shabbat, Chagim. Alright? There's 80 days we have to eat, and 6 we have to fast. So before you get all depressed and like upset, you know what I'm saying? Let's not... Yeah. Okay. No. Ki b'mei Mordechai ve'Esther. Because the days of Mordechai and Esther, we know this Nikala, they gathered together. B'yom Yud Gimel b'Adar, look inside. On the 13th day of Adar, lehilachem, to fight. Remember they fought? Right? They fought. V'lamod al nafsham, and to save their lives. Why do they fight? Because the decree, you remember this, right? Of Achashverosh and Haman was still out there. And there were still people who saw the next decree which says they were allowed to defend themselves, but still said, hey, there's a chance to fight the Jews, win and take all their stuff. V'hayut tzrichin. So they had to do something. Not only do we fight, they also had to, look out. Tzricha levakesh rachamim. You following? Good girl. Levakesh rachamim, to plead for mercy. Okay. So the fasting wasn't just to go hungry. Why do we fast? To plead for mercy. You're about to go to war. Before you go to war, you pray to God they're going to be successful. This is the Jewish way to this very day. And ask for God's mercy, Shiazram, that He's going to help them, Hashem, to rise up against their enemies. So before the whole battle that took place the 30th of Adar, remember there was a self-defense battle. Let's be very clear. Very clear. They had to kill us. We didn't want to go to war. They wanted it. We had to be ready. How do we get ready for war? There's various things we do. There's some things we do. Number 1, we pray. That's number 1. Right? If we do anything, you pray to God is successful. 2, you do teshuvah. You repent so that none of your sins stand in the way. And number 3, you fight. You fight. Now, actually, there's one before one, by the way. Before the war comes, you try to avoid war. By the way, where do we learn this out from as a side point?
Yeshua.
Hmm? I can't hear you. Speak up, my darling. Say it, don't worry. Worst comes to worst, you get the wrong answer. What's the big deal? What happens in Devarim? Oh, you're into Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so there's a little bit different in the preparation. It is true that we learn the halachot when it comes to fighting wars in Devarim, because we were going to be attacked, we were there. But a little earlier in the Torah, somebody had to prepare for a possible attack from somebody else. Yaakov and Esav. Remember that? So he had to, first of all, he prayed. First of all, he sent gifts. He sent Doron, he sent gifts. Write it down. He sent gifts to his brother Esav, tried to placate him. Then he prayed to Hashem. Then he split the camp, ready for, they came to attack, we'll have double machanaim, we have double camps. And then he's like, if not, I'll have to kill him. Right? We're not pacifists. Jews are not pacifists. We don't like war, but it's a necessary evil. By the way, if it's necessary, it's not evil. It may be unpleasant, but that's the way it is. So that's what we do. So we pray and we fast, and we precede the actual day itself with the fast itself. Yeah.
Yeshua is fasting.
Part of fasting. Fasting is part of that. Fasting helps you do teshuvah and helps you pray better.
Because they're both like the same, aren't they?
No, fasting helps you do teshuvah. That's what helps you do.
But you don't fast before you go to fight.
No, nowadays we don't. Back then they did. But they say teshuvah. Fasting is, that's why I wrote down teshuvah. We do teshuvah. Fasting is not the thing itself. Fasting is it's like on Yom Kippur. Why do you fast? To help you do teshuvah. It's not the mitzvah of Yom Kippur, as we said last semester, is to do teshuvah, right? The fasting just helps you do it because you feel, weak and tired, all the rest of it. Fine. Okay. So, umatzinu, and we find, says the Chafetz Chaim, that the Jews, they actually fasted on the day of war. So they actually went out to war fasting. Sheken amru, the rabbi says, Shemoshe Rabbeinu alav shalom b'yom shelachem im Amalek. Oh, look at this. Actually, there's another example. Don't think about this one. When Moshe Rabbeinu went to fight against Amalek, right, as the Jewish people did when they came to attack us, right, they fasted. So when you fight Amalek, you fast. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. So we know when it comes to Amalek, we fast. And this is a battle against Amalek at the Purim story. So we fast as well. V'im came, Vadai, definitely says the Chafetz Chaim, Gabi me Mordechai yumatanim ba'otayom. If you're fighting, Moshe Rabbeinu fasted fighting Amalek, then obviously the Jews, right, in the Purim story were fighting the descendants of Amalek in the form of Haman HaGagi, the Agagite, the Amalekite. You're going to fast as well. So they were basically following suit. Fascinating, right? So they have a custom to this very day to fast on the 13th day. Vinikar Tanit Esther is called Tanit Esther. It's called the fast of Esther. What else would you call this day? The fast of Pur, right? Good. The fast of Mordechai, but it's called Tanit Esther, Kedei, in order, Lizkor, to remember, Shashem Sparach Roeh, that God sees, V'shomeya, and hears, Kol Ish, every person, Be'et Surato, at that time of tsar, at that time of need, they should return to God with all their hearts, just like it happened back in those days.
Can you repeat
like
what
in those
the
days.
most
Yes. It's called Tanit Esther because you have to remember that Hashem listens to us at times of challenge and at times of difficulty, and that we are expected to return to God with all of our hearts, just like they did in those days. So why is it called Tanit Esther? To remind us what Esther went through, because she was about to die, if you remember. All the Jewish people were going to die, and they fasted, and therefore the fast is named after her. We call it Tanit Esther because she was the one who put herself in this situation. She was the one who had to fast for 3 days. I mean, everyone did eventually. She's the one who got it going, and she was the one who was taking on the very dangerous mission of saving the Jewish people by going to see Achash Berush, right? So it's called after her name. As it says, and we saw this one already, V'tomer Esther Lashiv al Mordechai. Now in those days they fasted for 3 days. Go, lech, kanosat kolim, gather the Jewish people together, bottom of the page, had himself a live in Shushan, but sumu alai, fast for me. So she fasted, and they fasted for her success in her mission, and their own teshuvah. V'yal tochlu v'yal tishu, don't eat and don't drink. Shlosh yamim, 3 days. Can you imagine that? 3-day fast. Now we don't do that because, well, if you told the Jews to fast for 3 days, there'll be like a national riot and they will convert to Islam. I don't know. Although they also fast, actually, but it won't help. Yom v'layla v'yom v'gabani v'naratai. I'm going to fast, and my maidservants, Cain u'v'chein avoy l'melech, and then I'll come to the king. Asher lo kadar kasher azav v'avadati avadati. If I die, I die. Remember that whole thing? Remember, she was so weak after this fast, right? She had to be carried in by angels. She could barely stand. So as a zecher to that, and a remembrance of that, and us too, we do the same thing. Turn over the page. Continues the Chafetz Chaim in the Mishnah Brura. V'lechein, and that's why. Chayav kol ish le. Similarly, but that's why every person should put on their hearts, should introspect. Ba'oto hayamin, on these days. To do teshuvah. That's why we fast. We don't fast because we like to go hungry. We don't like to go hungry. We fast because it helps us. It humbles us. It makes us think about what's important in life. Takes away the physical. We can concentrate on the spiritual.
Why do we do teshuvah to fast? Aren't we fasting because we're saving our life?
Very, very good. So he's saying that wasn't a one-off event, right? There's a constant battle. That's a very good question, right? We remember something happened in the past. We don't fast on Hanukkah, do we? We feast on Hanukkah. We don't fast on Hanukkah to remember what they went through back then, right? We don't fast on these. So why are we fasting now? It's a very, very fair question. Wait, do we fast for... All the other fast days are all about the Beit HaMikdash, destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. This is different. This seems to be an ongoing reality. This is an ongoing reality. Meaning that what happened then and the enemies then may still be the enemies now.
So we fast for teshuvah for the enemies now and then?
That we are dealing... We learn it from there, but we're doing it now.
But I don't know why we're doing teshuvah.
Because we're still under spiritual threat from Amalek, and therefore we need our own merit in order to get through it. I mean, that's pretty much, I think, what he's saying. The fact they set up, we have to remember that times of challenge and difficulty, we have to do teshuvah. Fasting helps us do teshuvah. Amalek is still there. We're still fighting these people who want to hurt us and kill us. And we get merit for it to this very day. So this threat, I mean, I'm thinking about it now, you mentioned, Lindsay, it makes absolute sense. This Amalek people, these people that wipe out the Jews, are still there. Right? There's just happens to be a very good example of it from the Purim story. But it's Bayam Mahem in those days, Bazman Hazeh this time. So we're still dealing with Nachon. Right. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. He says the essence of the day is not just the fast. He says it's not about starving yourself, right? As it says in Nineveh, remember that there were a non-Jewish nation that Jonah Hanavi, Jonah the prophet, had to go to this nation and they said, we're going to fast. And he says, remember, God sees your actions. They weren't just fasting to be hungry. What's it all about? He said, you have to do teshuvah. And then they fasted. All right? And it actually worked, by the way. So the rabbis say, right, they put on sackcloth and ashes. All this was there to focus on their behaviors, not on the fast. Right? It says, et ma'aseihem. They have to remember their actions. The fast was just there as a way to do that. Okay? Lechem, therefore, Otom Hashem, those people who mess around this day and just fast, don't do anything meaningful, they're missing the point, he says. The point of the fast is not just a fast, but to a little bit of introspection during the day. It was set aside as a day of personal introspection. Okay, so that's Tanit Esther, and we go from sorrow to joy, just like they did in the Purim story. They went from sorrow, they fasted, and then the joy came, and we do the same thing. And we jump from a day of fasting to a day of absolute joy. Actually, probably one of the joyous days in the Jewish calendar. And in order to increase the simcha of the day, we have 6 mitzvot. 6 positive mitzvot and 1 negative, which we saw already. What are the mitzvot of Purim? Write them down. Let's learn them together, and let's go through it. Okay? Well, first of all, we add certain prayers into our regular tefillot, into our regular prayers.
What do you wear costume? After the fast?
Yeah, after the fast. The day of Purim. Fast is the day before Purim. It's the 13th of Adar. And the night after the fast is when Purim begins.
And the fast begins in the morning?
Yes, it's a morning fast. Very good. 2 fast days begin the nighttime before Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Right. All the others are daytime fasts. The start of the morning, Tanit Esther, is a daytime fast.
So 5 a.m.?
Whenever daytime begins, yeah, around that time. Whatever, it depends where you are and the time of year.
And can you work?
Yes, you can do all malacha. Absolutely.
No, malacha, but didn't he say like you have...
So at least there should be some. You have to work. But you have to do some introspection. You have to, you go to shul that morning, you pray a little bit. There should be some introspection during the day. It doesn't say the entire day. Person has to go to work, malasot.
Right, if you can't fast for some reason.
Yeah, it's a light fast. It's not Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. This is a lighter fast. If you cannot fast, if you're sick or have headaches, right, then you're allowed to break the fast.
You still do the shua?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
An
sure.
intention.
Absolutely. Okay, so what do? Number 1, we add Al HaNisim to our tefillah, to our prayers in the Shemona Esrei and Birchat HaMazon. Okay, so Al HaNisim is what we added. Now, once again, if you skip saying Al HaNisim, you don't have to repeat the Shemona Esrei. It doesn't have that power, but it's mentioned in the Shemona Esrei, and that is the miracles to happen for our people at that time, Bazman Hazeh, in these days. That's number 1. What? You don't repeat, no. If a person leaves out Al HaNisim in the Shemona Esrei and Birchat HaMazon, they don't repeat. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2.
So you don't repeat that prayer?
Yes. If you skip it by mistake,
Yeah.
you do not need to repeat it. It is not a repeating mitzvah.
Wait, what is this a list of? I'm sorry.
This is a list of the mitzvot on Purim. We have
But the
6.
first one-
What?
The first one was the fast. The second
No. No, this is the
Page
mitzvot.
43.
Well, actually, fasting is one of the negative mitzvot, yeah. Fasting and not making eulogy is going to be one of the negative mitzvot. But we have 6 positive mitzvot. This is the 6 positive mitzvot of Purim. Number 1, add Al HaNisim to our tefillah, to our prayers. 2, reading the Megillah, right? We'll go through these in more detail in a second. Twice. We'll see why. At night and during the day. Okay? Now, there's no hashlama, meaning you missed the night one, you cannot be mashlim. Meaning you can't read it twice during the day. Sometimes you have that ability, he do not. It's a nighttime reading and a daytime reading. And they're 2 separate readings, and you have to go to both. You have to hear the Megillah twice. Nighttime and day. When I say day, that means all during the day. Anytime during the day, you can listen to the Megillah. Now, it's unusual.
Before Shkia.
3, there's a Torah passage regarding Amalek, right? Attack soon after the nation was driven from Egypt. That has to be read. We'll see in a second where and when. 4, sending food portions to friends. Mishloach manot. We'll see who you send to, how much you send, what kind of food you send. We'll see. 5, matanot le'evyonim. Giving money and gifts. Actually, it's a real way to do it. To poor people. To Aniyim B'Yisrael. To poor people. And number 6, having a festive meal biyom during the day. Those are the mitzvot. Let's double click on each one of them very quickly. Rose Harari, welcome back. We miss you. Thanks for coming. Where are you going? Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, you want to find a seat. Yeah, you want to do that. Okay, let's have a look at the Shulchan Aruch. Let's go about reading the Megillah. Hakol, everybody chayavin b'kriyata. Now, 1 second. I mean Hakol. Are women obligated to the mitzvah of hearing the Megillah, Shana Shriki? Why? Why should a woman not be obligated in the mitzvah of hearing the Megillah? Because it's a right, it's a time-bound mitzvah, which is called in Hebrew a mitzvah. A mitzvah shezman grama. It's a mitzvah that time causes, is caused by time. It's time-bound. Oh, women are not obligated to time. Is this a time-bound mitzvah? Yes, it comes once a year. Maybe that's the time. Or it's a daytime mitzvah, a nighttime mitzvah. Still, women are obligated in the mitzvah because they were part of the miracle. Actually, Esther was a woman and she part of it. And by the way, when they wanted to kill us, they wanted to kill the men and the women. So they're also celebrating. So this idea of mitzvah, shazman grama, A mitzvah, time by mitzvah, still applies, but over here it's docha. We push it away because women have all the same mitzvah. Therefore, women have to fulfill all the mitzvot of Purim. So all the mitzvah we're talking about, women have the same obligation as everybody else. Okay. So everyone has to do the Megillah, right? Anashim v'nashim. And we also will take children to go so that we can give them chinuch. Now here's a good question. At what age are you obligated to be machanech children into mitzvot?
13.
So that's when the obligation kicks in. The obligation for a girl is 12, boy is 13.
No, you said obligated.
Obligated. To machanech them, the mitzvah of chinuch, habanim v'banot. Not the mitzvah, the obligation to educate them. It's actually a different time period.
It says sex, so I'm cheating.
So what?
It says sex, so I'm cheating.
Yeah, okay, fine. So 6 years old is generally when we start to engage them. Some actually say 9 years old if they're mature enough. 9 years old if they're not mature by 6. That's when we start to engage them actually in mitzvot, right? That's called the gila chinuch. That's when the time when we start to take them and get serious with mitzvah. I mean, beforehand we do it now anyway, but that's when we start to say, you know, it's time to come along and get involved. Okay, so it's approximately 6 years old. That's the age of chinuch. One fulfills the obligation to read the Megillah, either by actually reading it yourself or by hearing it from someone else. All right. A person who hears it and has the mindset to hear it does that as well. Now, is there a difference? Is there between this mitzvah and the other Torah readings we do during the year? Is there a difference? Is there a difference between this mitzvah of hearing the Megillah and the other readings, like reading the Torah on Shabbat, on Mondays, and Thursdays?
Yeah.
Is there a difference? What's the difference?
Okay. So I think that the difference is that it's a mitzvah. Like you actually have to, like the Shabbat. I don't know if Shabbat is obligation to read the Torah. Maybe I have no idea.
There is an obligation to read the Torah and hear the Torah on Shabbat, but it's a different obligation. What's the obligation? What's the chiyuv? Shani, you know?
Are women obligated
In the Shabbat reading?
on Monday?
No,
Yeah.
they're not. So what's the difference? Why not? Why are we saying this reading everyone has to go to, and that reading they don't? Ahava.
Maybe because we're saying everyone has to go, like, including kids, you're more able to allow them to go.
That's not it. That's not where the obligation comes from. Interesting. That's not where it comes from.
Because we will have to remember
What is the obligation to hear the Torah on Shabbat in the synagogues? Who has that obligation? Who has that obligation?
Men?
No. You have in other words, those 3 men, they wouldn't have the obligation. The obligation is on the minyan, the kehillah. When there's a group of people praying together, are you going to say that? You had your hand up, I apologize. Were you going to say?
I thought like on Purim you have to say that, so like you have to be as a group when you hear it. You know?
No, that's true, but that's not the obligation. Let me follow it like this. It goes like this. When it comes to reading the Torah on Shabbat, when there's a minyan together, there's an obligation to read the Torah. Okay? There's no issue. What caused the obligation on Shabbat or Monday or Thursday? Have you put your phone down? What caused it? The minyan caused it. When there's a group, a minyan, which minyan, a definition is men of bar mitzvah, who are together, they have to hear the Torah reading. Okay, that's Shabbat. So let's say a person missed synagogue and they have to pray themselves at home for whatever reason, yeah, then they don't have to hear the Torah because, I mean, they miss the opportunity, but of the nice thing, but the obligation doesn't stick on them because the obligation is on the kahal, on the community. As opposed to Purim, where the obligation isn't on the community, that when they get together, the kehillah, the Eidah, the minyan, to hear the Torah, it's on the individual. Every individual, as it were, has a gun against their head and says, you have to hear it. Therefore, if a person misses it, they have to still hear it. Because the obligation isn't on the community, and if I'm outside the community, I don't have to hear it. The obligation is not on the tzibur, it's on the yachid. It's not on the collection, it's on the individual.
That's what Purim, right?
Rena, write that down. So when it comes to Purim, the obligation is on the individual, not on the community. Everyone has to hear it. The obligation is on every single Jewish person, irrelevant of whether they're part of a group or not. They have to hear it. Therefore, as we said, if a person could go to shul, right, they can still sit by themselves from a scroll, we'll see, say the brachot and read it, and fulfill their obligation that way. Now, you said something very interesting. You said, but 1 second, don't we all get together and read as a community? And the answer is yes, we do. On Purim. Why do we do that? What's it called? No. Barov Am Hadrat Melech is the concept we see in a number of places, and this is one of them. Let's write that expression down. Let's understand it. Barov Am Hadrat Melech. With many people, the king is glorified. With many people, the king is glorified. In other words, although the obligation is on every individual, meaning you could all stay home by yourselves and read the Megillah with the brachot from a scroll and be to the mitzvah, it works. The obligation on Purim is not an obligation on Shabbat or the Chagim where you just read because there's a collection of people, we read the Torah, which is a beautiful mitzvah, but the obligation on the community, on the tzibur. It's on the individual. We're saying even though it's on an individual, we should still gather together, ideally in a bet knesset if possible, if not, not. But reading it together is still a better way to do the mitzvah because of this concept, Barov Am Hadrat Melech. Through people doing a mitzvah together, Hashem is glorified. People doing mitzvah together, Hashem is glorified. And therefore we do get together and we do read it as a collective, although the obligation is on every individual to hear it.
How do you read that?
But Hadrat Melech. Hadrat. Alright. So we get together.
Oh, that's a dalet, not a dalet.
That's a resh. Hadrat. It's a dalet, sorry.
Yeah,
It's a dalet.
that one. I thought it was a tzaddik.
Sorry.
Is it?
I think it's
Right. Hadrat Melech. Right?
Aleph.
Yeah, Barov Am. With many people, we create Hadar. The collective glorifies Hashem better. Better to do mitzvah together than by themselves. Here's the big difference. If you're in Bet Knesset on Shabbat and you have to leave the room to do something and miss a part of the Torah reading, is there a problem with that? No, because you don't have to hear it. The Torah has to be read. You with me? To a minyan. But if you have to go to the bathroom between, Shlishi Revi and you miss part of it. Because the job is being done. But when it comes to Megillat Esther, it's different. Since you have an obligation, listen very carefully, this is halacha l'maaseh. Since you have an obligation to hear the Megillah, that means you have to hear it in its entirety. You cannot miss a word. If you leave halfway, for whatever reason, and miss a chapter, you have not fulfilled your obligation. You have to hear the entire thing from start to finish. That's how to fulfill this particular mitzvah. Why is it so strict? It's not strict, it's just the nature of the mitzvah is that every individual has a chiyuv to hear it, and therefore every person has to hear every word. You cannot turn up late. You cannot have any noise so you don't even hear the words. And we'll see the Chachamim give a lot of advice, including reading along, just in case, quiet yourself and following along, so that if you miss a word, because, noise and rush and all the rest of it, at least you have every single word. Yeah?
For modern Mitzvot, like Matna Levin.
We're not there yet. Hold on. We're going to do each one. Let's go through each one. We'll get there when we get there. Let's just focus on this one, okay? So you can read yourself through another person, right? It's a concept called Shemer Ka'ona. That means, listen very carefully, that the person, right, the person who's reading, the Koreh, he's reading, he's also, the Makri is also fulfilling your obligation. How does he do that? The person who reads makes the bracha. He has to have in mind that he's fulfilling your obligation for you. You have to have in mind that you are fulfilling your obligation through him. And sometimes I'll bang on the thing and say, listen, everyone's listen to the brachot, stand up for the brachot, because Shemer Ka'ona, he's going to say it, you're going to listen, and it's as though you're reading it. He's doing it for you and himself. And if he doesn't have that in mind, by the way, probably has to do it again. So, which you don't want to do. So you have to make sure. For that reason, when you hear the bracha, here's a technical reality most people are not aware of. If you're being yotze the bracha, right, when he says Hashem's name, Baruch Ata Hashem, you do not say, Baruch Hu Ubaruch Shemo. Normally when you hear a bracha, you can say that. you say Hashem's name. Here you don't, because it's like you are saying the bracha, and you can't interrupt your own bracha. You can say Amen at the end, that you say. But you can't say, if he says Baruch Atah Hashem, Baruch Hu V'Ro Shemo, you can't say that, because it's like he's saying the bracha, and it's like you're saying the bracha, and you can't interrupt your own bracha, and therefore you don't do that. Do you understand? If you do that, you're actually not yod to the bracha. It was a hefsek, and the bracha has to be said again, and you messed up the whole thing possibly. Are you with me? That's a general concept. During Kiddush on Friday night, or Hamotzi on Shabbat, right? Someone's going to make the bracha of Hagefen for you. They'll say Baruch Atah Hashem. You don't say Baruch Hu V'Ro Shemo, because it's a hefsek. You made an interruption, and you haven't filled the mitzvah. And therefore, when the bracha is made, you can say Amen at the end, because you're agreeing it's not a hefsek, the bracha's finished. But the person who makes Kiddush, right, is having you in mind to fill your mitzvah, and therefore you listen intently, because it's as though you're making the bracha. But he's saying it, no problem. It's as though you're saying it. It just happens to be coming through him. Does that make sense? Same with Hamotzi. When the Mavarech makes Hamotzi on Friday night to Shabbat, and he says, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hamotzi Lechem Haaretz, right? You don't say Baruch Hu V'Ro Shemo, right? You keep quiet, and you say Amen at the end, then you eat the Hamotzi. Same idea. Because he's having you in mind. You are fulfilling your obligation through the bracha, and therefore it's as though you're making the bracha, and therefore do not interrupt. Same thing here as well. You listen to the brachot, you keep quiet, say Amen, you sit down, you don't talk the entire time. You cannot talk the entire time. Why? Because it's as though you're reading it, and you can't interrupt your own reading. Although he's reading it for you because he's a better reader. That makes sense? Yeah? And that's it for the obligation. As opposed to on Shabbat, at Kriyat Torah, he makes the bracha, right? On Asher Barabani, you say Baruch Hu V'Ro Shemo if you want. That's fine. Yeah.
I was going to ask, so can this technically apply to anything?
This will apply to any time a person is being yotze you for a bracha. Like Havdalah. Person makes Havdalah, he's having you in mind. You don't say Baruch Hu V'Ro Shemo. You cannot interrupt. You say Amen at the end and that's it. But if a person's making a bracha for themselves, right, the bracha nen, you can. Right? Absolutely. He's not being motze you. That's what we're looking for. The men makes it causative. On Purim, he's being motze you with the bracha, and you're being yotze the bracha. Literally means to go out, because you're going out of your obligation. So there, you cannot interrupt with the bracha V'Ro Shemo. As opposed to, a person makes a bracha sheyatzar, or right, or bracha during the repetition of the Amidah. You can, yeah.
Can a woman read the Megillah and like?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So here it says
If they're able to do it, 100%.
Say Echad Kol Echad Shomea. Can I, if I miss it, for example at night, can I read it to myself and say
You have to know, that's the question. So the question is, you have to know what you're reading, the way to read it. There's many halachot when it comes to reading it, so most of us are not experts in it.
Why?
Technically-
Why can you just read it? I mean,
When it needs to be, you could actually. You would probably be yotze. Still, you want to do it collectively as a group together, but it would work.
what if you can't?
Then you get a scroll together and you make a bracha, you learn how to do it and read it properly. No, it has to be from a scroll.
Why?
Because it's Megillat Esther. And like a Negara, and it has to be from a scroll.
What's a scroll?
A parchment, cloth.
Where do you get cloth from?
You buy it. Where do you get empty cloth from?
But it's very expensive.
You buy it or have someone.
No, seriously.
Yes, that's why.
What
No,
if-
100%.
What if you have a Tanakh? Like a Tanakh
So
scroll?
Tanakh, that's a good thing. You're going to follow along with the Tanakh anyway, just to make sure. But the original reading, ideal lechatchila, should be from cloth, from a scroll.
Like worst case, you can do it at home.
I don't believe you're yet to the mitzvah just reading from a chumash.
Really?
Yeah.
Why does it count?
Yeah, why?
Words to read it.
Like it's weird.
You're reading along the chumash, why does that work? That's a good question.
If you're saying the bracha,
Forget Shabbat. Shabbat is not like this. Shabbat, reading
No.
chumash, there's no obligation on
Sure.
Shabbat for you to do it.
The person who's reading from the Torah, he's reading the
Has to be from a cloth. Yeah, that has to be from a cloth as well, yeah.
Yeah, so same
That
with
must
Purim
be.
then.
Right, but no, she's
No,
saying
but
over
it's
here, the obligation on the
usually-
yich and the yachid, can that person be yotze? But you're right, it has to be from cloth as well. But would you still get something? Okay, that's a good question. Okay, hold on, that's a good question. That's a fair question. Because they're going to give you advice to follow along in the chumash just to read the words. Maybe that's just a way of staying with it. Okay?
but the cloth is.
But that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. The Torah must be read publicly from a kosher scroll which has been handwritten with proper ink on parchment line markings with sirtut. Yeah.
For her question about a woman reading, a
Yeah.
man, I feel like a man can't be okay with a woman reading.
So, now that's not what she asked. She asked if a woman
No,
can be
a
yotze.
woman can read it.
Right.
for
It
other
would
women.
anyway. We don't do it. This is actually a big area of discussion in the Jewish, well, a big area, but many people are saying, well, women can. Would it work? it probably would, but it's not done. It's not done for other reasons. For other reasons. Okay? But it would take work. Yes, that would work. I'm saying when it comes to this, it would work. Yeah, would work. We generally don't do it, and but it would. Yeah, it works.
So if me and Whitney like sit together
and you know how to read from a kosher scroll, you have the mitzvah.
You don't have. Why do you have to know how to read? Like I know.
Because the words are read the proper way. You have to actually read the words. There's ta'amim. There's things that go with it. It has to be from a kosher scroll. You have to know what you really can't. Get the wrong because there's no nukudot. There's no vowels. It's hard to know how to read the words. You have to get the words right.
Really?
Yeah. You can't read Haman. You can't Homen, right? Or Himen. You have to know how to read it.
What if you know?
I'm saying so. If a person is practiced, then it works. The melody may be less important than correct pronunciation of the words. Make sure the words are not incorrect. What?
On a chumash you do it.
Right, from a Torah scroll, you don't.
No, but it's where you follow the.
But in the thing, I'm saying, but if a person reads the actual Megillah from a cloth, from a parchment, they wouldn't have the nukudot. They wouldn't know what they're reading. So they have to be able to experts in it. They have to be experts at reading it. Yeah. Okay, turn over the page. It says Shulchan Aruch, you have to read it twice. This mitzvah is twice. Nighttime and daytime. If you miss nighttime, you can't read it twice a day and be, I'll make up for it. It's not twice over Purim, it's nighttime, daytime. You have to make both. Says the Brisha Bura, why? Do you have to do it twice? They cried at nighttime and daytime. Right? Therefore, you have to read it nighttime and daytime. Makes sense, right? How important is this reading? So you thought, well, it's rabbinic. So if I have a Torah mitzvah, like studying Torah, that would be more important. And it says no. It says Shulchan Aruch. It's so important, this reading, although it's a rabbinic mitzvah, the Rabbanan, Mevadim Talmud Torah L'Shema Mikra Megillah. We push off learning Torah, which is the greatest mitzvah, to hear the Megillah. Kal v'chomer l'sham mitzvot. How much more so the rest of the mitzvot? Shekulam Nidachim Pnei Mikra Megillah. This Megillah mitzvah is, the rabbis made it, whatever. No. This is a really big and important mitzvah and pushes away other obligations which may, or opportunities for Torah mitzvot, like learning Torah, you push them away, you do this. Everyone goes to shul, we all hear, I'll have a shiur instead. You can't do that. But it's a Torah mitzvah. Learning Torah, no. It's rabbinic, that gets pushed off. It's very important. So the rabbi had to say, even though it's rabbinic, it's still very, very important. So, says the Mishnah Berurah, v'im beis.
What if avelut? Is it pushing?
If what?
Avelut? Shiva?
No. If a person is, no. Avelut means if a person is an onen, that means if a person is in between.
No, Shiva.
Shiva, no. Shiva has the same obligation. People are Shiva has the same mitzvah. You're thinking about an onen, a ninut, between the death and the burial. Then a person is patur mitzvot. But once the person is buried, they're obligation all the mitzvot. There's a period between when a person's one of the 7 close relatives dies and is buried, called aninut. Right? At that stage, they are patur from all positive mitzvot. This would be included in that Rahman al-Islam. But not...
Wait, would be included, what does that mean? It doesn't
that means they don't have to do something. No. Don't have to have the Megillah, don't have to make bracha, they eat bread without washing their hands. No davening, no tefillin.
No, but Shiva, you have to stay
Shiva,
at
yes.
home.
During Shiva, yes. So then you have to find somewhere. So then, very easy. So you have to stay at home, very good. So then you have to have someone read for you at home. And that's the situation.
Oh, yeah, you can't go to shul.
That would be a public thing. That would be a problem, yeah? Someone have to come and read it for you in your house.
So it doesn't cancel...
No. Doesn't cancel the mitzvah, no. A ninut does, but avilut does not. Right, nedachim, right, no. They still have the obligation to do the mitzvah, yeah. They still have the obligation to do the mitzvah. They're just, about Rav Amad Melech may be excluded because of the great joy that comes with it, yeah.
So for Purim itself, I think for other holidays, it would stop the Avelis and continue after.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. No, I don't. Oh, I see. No. No. No, Shabbat does not cancel. Chagim do. No, it does not do that. No, you don't mourn on the day. You don't mourn on the day. There's no public mourning on the day. You want to see, is there public? Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Is there public mourning on Purim itself? No, there's no Hespedim. No. I don't believe so.
So then maybe they can go now?
Yeah, I think it does. I think so. I could be wrong.
Can't they then go?
Right, Torah holidays do. But here they cannot go to, but they still have the same obligation. They have to do it at home. Yeah, I believe, right? There's no Hespedim, that's for sure. We just read that, yeah? There's no hespedin.
We do.
There's no eulogies, no fasting, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop Avelut.
Like, so it has to be, like, it's better for it to be read in a group?
Yes.
How do you
In shul.
But how do you determine, okay, what if you can't go to shul and you have
So
a
he
group?
said, if you have a group, like my wife does not go to
Yeah,
shul.
but how do you determine what a group is? How many people?
No, just, there's no obligation. Right. Here there's no number. There's no number. Just getting together and ensure as many people as possible, greater the mitzvah. So 5 people is good, 10 is better, 50 is even better, 200 is even better than that. The more the merrier. Depends on the size. Yeah. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, even if you have 100 people in his home Megillah reading with him, but the community is reading in shul at the same time, it's a mitzvah for him to hear it in shul with a larger group. That's the best way. Mitzvah and mufchar, lots of people in a synagogue, says the Mishnah Berurah. This is Barav Am, Hadrat Melech. He says, with a multitude of nation is the king honored. That's from Mishlei, chapter 14, verse 28. Okay, Proverbs.
Where are you?
We're on page 44. And now we're on page 45. Okay, so he reads the brachot for the Megillah, he says, right, that are there on the mitzvah of reading the Megillah, right, for the miracles and the Shechianu as well, and they can be found in Sidurim. And the reader must have in mind he's fulfilling the congregation's obligation to hear, and everyone there must have in mind that the bracha he's making is my obligation. You have to have that. Right? He has to be that he's being motze you, and you're being yotze with the bracha. Motzi, yotzi. Got it? Everyone has to listen carefully to every word. If the reader misses a word, or the listener did not hear a single word, they do not fulfill their chiyuv of Megillah. You cannot miss a word, which is why they say Haman, and if he goes crazy, he'll go back and read Haman again and keep reading. Yeah.
Do you fulfill the mitzvah if you FaceTime into it?
Now that's a good question. That's a good question.
Well, it's here.
That is a question. That is a good question. Can you FaceTime? Can you... So I had this question last year. Because there's many people I know who are not going to shul. And I had a Megillah reading. And we FaceTimed it. We actually Facebook Lived it, actually. The reading itself. So I spoke to my Rav of Gates, Rav Zimmerman, to ask him this question. Because he knows I'm nuts. And he's used to all my crazy Kiruv questions. Because no one in Gateshead has asked if you can Facebook Live a Megillah reading. It takes, me to ask him that question. I thought, I was wrong, I thought that this would work. What? Let's say you are on the telephone and you make a bracha. Is the person who hears the bracha able to
Say amen, yeah.
say amen?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Why not?
Let's say you hear a tape recording of a bracha.
No.
What's the difference?
It's not live.
What's the difference? Why? So why is live going to help?
Because it's happening in that
So we learn from a very interesting place. There was a massive synagogue in Alexandria in Egypt. In Alexandria. The flags. This was a massive shul. It was so big that people at the back could not hear, this is halacha by the way, could not hear the person making the bracha at the front. It was that big. How did they say amen? They would make the bracha, they would lift up one flag, they would see that flag, another flag would go up, and the people at the back would see the flags, they would answer amen. Meaning they didn't hear the bracha, but they said amen at the time of the bracha. And it worked. Yes, absolutely worked.
Why?
Absolutely.
You don't have to hear about
You
that.
do not have to hear it. When you hear on the telephone, you're not hearing the bracha, you're hearing some transmission is coming through. They learn out from the Shul Alexandria. You don't need to hear the bracha, you have to know it's being made, and you can make as long as you're saying amen at that time. That's what I learned out. So I thought...
Megillah, you have to hear.
Wait. So I thought, hey, that's great for Megillah as well, right? That's what I posited to this great post-sect great rabbi, and as a Rabbi Zimmerman, it's the same thing. They are hearing the brachot and the Megillah. It's like a shul Alexandria. He's like, don't push it. Right, now you're overdoing it. You're overdoing it. When it comes to bracha, you do that. But this mitzvah has to be heard. I said, come on, give me something over here. Give me a leniency I can go with. Will a person be, he says, listen, I don't know if it works. I think I'll check into the answer. It was a year ago already. I've forgotten. I forgot what I had for breakfast this morning. I didn't have breakfast yet this morning. So I said to him, is this going to work? So he's like, but he says, listen, if a person is sick or infirm, or they're definitely not going to go, better they hear it, at least through that, because there is a mitzvah of Pirsume Nisa, right? To publicize the miracle and talk about it, they hear it. So will they be Yotzi the mitzvah itself by hearing it happening live? Answer is probably not, but at least they're getting some mitzvah for hearing it, right? At the live, and that's better than hearing a recording of it, but it's not as good as reading themselves from a scroll or hearing it from someone doing it. So the answer is, it probably doesn't work, but it's better than nothing. It's kind of, I think, what I got out of it. And now I'm going to put this class online and get a lot of people shouting, getting angry with me, right? But that's what I received, if I remember correctly, from my Rav, yeah.
How about using a microphone?
So that's the same idea. The microphone is the same thing. It would work because you're hearing it at the right time, and therefore at the same time, and therefore now microphones in general.
But you're there. You
Oh,
see
no,
the
no,
guy.
no! I take that back. Take that back. Take that back. Microphones work if you could hear it without the microphone. It's just better with the microphone. I believe that's the halacha. I'll say that again.
Why?
When it comes to that, because you have to hear it yourself. So you're saying, if I could hear it without the microphone, you see, not everyone holds by this, right? But that's generally, I believe, the halacha. I went to shul and they do chazarat hashatz during the week, not on Shabbat, using a microphone. How can they do? They don't actually listen to the person. So the answer is, well, without the microphone we can hear, but it's just not so clear. So it's making it clearer, some which I could hear anyway, then it would work. So you're saying, would that work with the Megillah? I would say the same process, I guess. If you could hear it without, it's just much better with, then it would work. Yeah.
Is it saying because there's a little bit of a time delay? It's
No, not the time delay. It's
Then
immediate.
what's-
Microphone is immediate. We're saying you have to hear the call, the person themselves. Are you hearing the real voice, or are you hearing a reflection of the voice? Is really what we're trying to. That you're hearing like a process. So we're saying if I can hear it anyway, it's just enhancing it. Then it probably would work.
And could it
These
be-
are questions for post-game, of which I am not. This is beyond my pay grade. But that's my thinking. I know for tefillah, they say that would work using a microphone if you could hear it anyway, even without it. Yeah?
I just, you're only 15 minutes of class and you say something about review. I'm just
Well done.
It doesn't have to be yet.
Well done. Okay, let's keep going then. Okay, you have to hear every single word. Therefore, a person should try. That's what the Mishnah says. Everyone should have a chumash for which he can read the missed words himself that he catches up to the reader, at which point he may resume the listening. So it's interesting. He does seem to say that the chumash is going to help you, right? At least you follow along if you miss a word. Okay. The idea, though, you did hear it, but not clearly enough. Right. And says the Ramah, it is a custom. I've got to keep going. It is a custom. Okay, go on then.
If I don't understand what is being said.
Great question. You see, yours in the
I don't know
mitzvah.
if I'm listening to everything.
You have to, because you're basically listening to every single word being said. Even if I talk to you another language, you can know if you're hearing another language, but you are yot to the mitzvah even though you don't understand what's being said. Is it better to know? Yes, but you're still yot to the mitzvah, and you can hear if a word is missing. He says there's still a minhag. It's a minhag to make a noise at Haman's name, right? Reading in short, to fill the message to Timcha et Amalek. Okay? So the last three mitzvot of Purim are recorded in the following verses. It says Mordechai recorded these events. It says in the book of Esther, chapter 9, 20 to 22. They sent books to all the Jewish people. Near and far. Right, you may mishta days of drinking, the simcha mishloch manot ishreyu matot le'avyonim. So the mitzvot of Purim are actually in the Megillah itself. Okay, so let's have a look at these mitzvot themselves. How do you perform the mitzvah? We're on page 47 of Mishloch Manot, sending portions. So on the day of Purim, you have to send 2 items to at least one person. That's the basic chiyuv of the obligation, says the Shulchan Aruch. Okay? So Mishloch Manot is 2 items to one person. Okay? Why? What is the reason for the...
Same item or
So we're going to get to it. What is the reason for the mitzvah? You see, the reason will help you figure out. Tam de mishloch manatu kadei shiel kol echad dai v'sapek lekayim suda kadina. You're doing this actually, and this is going to make halachic difference. The reason is going to help you know how to actually fulfill the mitzvah. Is that the person who gets the item is able to have the suda. That's actually the real reason for the mitzvah. Why is sending portions of food to people? so the person who gets it can eat it. Now that's going to make a difference. How? How is that going to make a difference?
Can't send
What
things.
was in it?
You shouldn't send raw items. Need to be cooked or prepared or defrosted, you know? Should be ready to eat. You can't send like a bag of flour and a cup of water, like, there you go, make a challah for yourself. It's got to be ready to eat, ready to go. It's mishloch manot. The manot have to be ready to go. All right? And therefore, because you have to be do it. Why do we do this? What's the other reason? In order to increase love between people. Making friends. Making friends. Now, I remember learning my Rebbe many years ago. I had a rabbi in yeshiva called Rabbi Purim. What's his name? Purim. Top of the etrog. And he said like this. He said, really try to make friends. Sending it to friends is all well and good. That's the basic obligation, but there's an extra obligation to make friends. Who are you making friends with, Shana Shriki? People maybe you're not so friendly with. That's the real mitzvah. If you only send it to those people, then I was like, oh, so we're not really friends. So you send it to everyone. And the more it's one of these mitzvah, you fill it with 2 portions of food to one person, but the more portions you send, the more the mitzvah is. Okay? So it's one of those things where there's a minimum, but there's no maximum. Ein lehem shiur. There's no maximum. You can send to many people in order to create reyut by giving people, and not just to your besties. If there's someone who you're a little bit, they should get, because that's how to make reyut. That's the real mitzvah of it. Okay? This is an ideal opportunity to repair broken relationships. So that's praiseworthy. That's what he says. The more you send, better than mitzvah. You send 1, you get the mitzvah. You get 2, you get 2 mitzvah. 5 mitzvah. Okay. However, matnot levyonim is a greater mitzvah. So you should spend more on matnot levyonim than you do from all the mishloach manot you send. Everyone's very good at, so you have to send, and they have to receive, we'll see matnot levyonim in a second, they have to receive the food on that day. You have to receive the food on that day.
Wait, what?
So you can send through a shaliach, but they should receive the mishloach manot on Purim itself.
So
Only
matanot-
poor people?
matanot doesn't mean
Both of them. Matat le'avyonim, for the money for the poor people, we'll get to that in a second, and mishloach manot must be received on, if it arrives Erev Purim or Motzei Purim, nice thing, no mitzvah. You've not fulfilled your obligation. Okay? So if you send it via FedEx, or a person doing it, that's fine. But it's got to arrive on the day itself. It must arrive on the day itself. The poor person must receive the money because they're going to see when the poor person getting the money has to be able to spend the money on food. Right? It's not going to help if they get it, a day later. Yeah.
For the Mishloach Manot, can you send that person money so they could go buy themselves?
No, that would no. The money is for poor people. They should receive food ready to go.
But if you can't,
Listen, if you want to give me a check, I'll take it.
no, but they go and they buy it. Just you can't send it to them. So you
Hold on. Maybe together. Hold on. Okay. Send food that is ready to be eaten immediately. Does not require cooking. For instance, cooked items can be eaten in recipient's Purim meal. However, raw meat or fish should not be sent.
on what? On
2 items, no. 2 items must be different. One should either send 2 different types of food or 2 different types of drink, or a food and a drink. Right? That's how to separate. It should be 2 different things, right? A food and a drink. Now, by the way, it depends on the person receiving. Right? The person receiving it, the mishloach manot should fit the receiver. So if you have like a friend, you want to give them like a banana with a lollipop, that's fine. Right? That's fine. But if you're giving like an important person, they should receive a more important gift. I don't give the same gift to everyone. Some people get more chashuv gifts, okay, in order to fulfill this mitzvah. Okay? It's going to be the standard of the recipient. Right? You can't be using the mitzvah to an important person, right, with some like,
What's an important person?
to you an important person, they're an important person, they have chashivut.
So they're my friends. So I don't need to send it to them.
You should, no.
No, I
You
should, but if it's
so
not
the
fulfilling
level of mishloach manot, we're saying, should be the level. Okay, I got to finish this off.
Is the same bracha considered different food or no? Should send
Yes,
different
he says that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about doing. I've heard that, but I didn't see it inside. The reason is, It builds up love between people. The act of giving itself builds up love. Let's finish off for Matat Liavyonim, page 49. Let's finish off Halachot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can we use Mishloach Manot as not a bribe, but a way to get a good relationship with someone in order to make business?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's also real, 100%.
So if I wanted, like, for example, a deal from...
You want to give the rabbi a nice big gift, get a good grade? No problem. You know what? It may work. I'm only kidding. No, you know what to do? No, you're building a rail. There's no thing. You're building up. You have good friends. You're going to build up a relation with a person. Right? That's absolutely okay. You're doing it. You should have in mind you'll be able to the mitzvah, but it's going to work. Now, Matat Liavyonim. So how does that work? Now remember, this is a greater mitzvah, and you should spend more on gifts to the poor people than on Mishloach Manot. Okay? How do you fulfill this mitzvah? On the day of Purim, a person must give one gift to at least 2 poor people. Hear the difference. Mishloach Manot is 2 gifts to 1 person. This is 1 gift to 2 people. That's the kind of question I ask in a midterm. I get that one down. We're on page 49.
Can you repeat what you just say?
Mishloach Manot is 2 gifts to 1 person as a minimum. Matat Liavyonim is 1 gift to at least 2 poor people. And you can give either money or food because they're poor, ready to eat. Because the money.
Song voice. Can you say it?
Yeah, it's 2 gifts with 1 person. No.
Did I even say that?
You're singing. I can't.
Mishloach Manot is 2 gifts to 1 person as a minimum. 2 gifts, 1 person. Matat Liavyonim is at least 1 gift, cash or food, to at least 2 people.
How do you spell Masha?
Matanot Liavyonim. It's written inside. Here it's inside. Look inside. Matanot Liavyonim.
Before Purim
And then it arrives on. But yes, what I do is, by the way, poor people means poor people who cannot afford. Baruch Hashem in America, there are many such Jews. There are, but Baruch Hashem is also prevalent. In Eretz Yisrael there are. So I actually go Erev Purim and I pay with my credit card so that money is distributed by a rabbi, right, or this organization on Purim itself. And it goes to the mitzvah through them. That works. So you can swipe it or send the money before, but it has to arrive on Purim itself. I give it to Evyonim in Eretz Yisrael, which is, by the way, probably a bigger mitzvah if you ask me. Yeah, probably. Yes. We, mon chéri. V'rashai leten machal or ma'at. You can give food or money. En ikru matana elim kain yesh bakadei matana. Now, it's not considered a gift or something of benefit, right? Unless it should be an amount of food that is usually eaten in a regular meal or the equivalent amount of money. So, depends, is a geographical reality. What does it cost to get a meal here in Manhattan? Like a regular meal, a nice meal. $15 lemashal, okay. Then that's the minimum amount you should give to go to the mitzvah. So twice that. What does it cost in Eretz Yisrael to get a decent meal? $5. Alright, it's cheaper in Eretz Yisrael to buy it. No, like whatever.
Show me.
Okay, so wherever you are is dependent on how much you have to give. They have to have enough food to make a meal or enough money to buy a decent meal. A decent meal. Yeah. In Venezuela, how much? I don't know. 50 cents? I don't know. Go on, yes, Rose, what do you want to say?
If you give food,
Yeah.
does it have to be ready, not Evyonim, or it could be like...
It could be, no, he's saying, your yotzei, matat le'avyonim, using food, if it's a full food, though, it has to be like a meal. You should give it enough to make a meal. As a challah, and meat. Yeah, ready to eat, ready to eat.
Okay.
Ready to eat, always ready to eat. It is better for the Mishabura to spend more on this mitzvah than Mishloach Manot and the Purim feast. So work out how much all Mishloach Manot and this big fancy meal are making, and then spend more on poor people. Oh, suddenly you're not buying that many gifts this year, right? Mishloach Manot. That's important. That's the real mitzvah. Now, here's a very important one. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. During the year, if a person asks you for tzedakah, do you have to give them?
No.
The answer is no, you don't. Halacha is, right? However, on Purim, if a person is an Evyon, really, it's actually the categorization, right? And they come to you, and they open their hands, you have to give. right? Because the mitzvah said make everyone happy. During the year, you can you have to give that you give tzedakah. You have to do. You got to give tzedakah during the year. Who you give to and when is up to you. But on Purim it's different. Whoever has opened their mitzvah p'tach yad, not in law, you give them. You have to give over in their hands if they are of this categorization. I mean, we end up giving everyone, even for yeshivot. But if you ask me, you know, most teachers in yeshiva probably fall into this anyway. Yes, Shana Shriki.
Can I be Jewish?
Yes, for this mitzvah. Yes. We. A check can be given if it can be easily exchanged for cash or a bank use for both, but it's got to be like ready to go. You've got to be able to give muzulman. It's got to be ready to go, okay? So ideally it should be cash, ready to go. I got to finish this off, okay? You don't need to personally give the money. You can give it via an authorized charity collector who will distribute the money to the poor themselves. Okay, those are the main mitzvot. Next class we will finish off, talk about the Suda and getting drunk, which you're not going to do because you're under 21.
Right.